All right, so we've just made it through the incredibly complex world of vitamins, all the way from A to K. But now we're shifting gears. We're going to talk about a nutrient that's so fundamental it makes everything else we just learned about even possible. So, welcome to our new chapter on water and major minerals. So, after wrestling with all those B vitamins and fat-soluble molecules, I've got a question for you. What do you think is the single most essential nutrient for life? It sounds deceptively simple, I know, but the answer is the bedrock for pretty much every single process happening in your body right now.
And there it is, water, H2O. It's simple, it's inorganic, it has 0 calories, and yet it's the #1 most essential nutrient. And here's why. Sure, our body's cool enough to make a little bit of its own water through metabolism. We call it metabolic water, but we're talking a tiny amount, maybe a cup a day. That is nowhere near enough to replace what we lose, so we're basically in a constant state of needing more.
Okay, so we all know the phrase, our bodies are mostly water, right? But it's not that simple. It's not evenly distributed everywhere, and the amount you have isn't the same as the person next to you. It actually changes, pretty dramatically, based on your body tissues and even your age. Now take a look at this. This is huge. Lean muscle tissue is almost 3/4 water, a whopping 73%. But fat tissue, it holds very little, only about 20%. This is why body composition is so important. Someone with more muscle doesn't just have a higher metabolism, they literally have a bigger reservoir for water, which is absolutely critical for performance, for moving nutrients, for, well, everything. And that difference in our tissues, it directly explains why our total body water changes so much over our lifetime. A newborn baby is about 75% water, but as we get older, that percentage can drop, sometimes all the way down to 45% in older adults. And it's not just a random thing. It's largely because as we age, we tend to lose muscle mass. Our main water storage tank literally shrinks. So we get it. Water is essential. We know where it hangs out in the body, but what does it actually do? I mean, what's on its job description? Well, let's just say it's the ultimate multitasker. Its most important job title, without a doubt, is the universal solvent. Think of water as the body's soup broth. A solvent is a liquid that dissolves other things, and water is incredible at it. It dissolves minerals, vitamins, amino acids, glucose, you name it. It creates the liquid stage where nearly every chemical reaction that keeps you alive gets to happen. And because it's such a great solvent, it gets to wear all these different hats. It's the main ingredient in our blood, which is our transportation system. It's how we get rid of waste through our urine. It's our built-in air conditioning when we sweat. It lubricates our joints. It helps us digest food. Seriously, there isn't a major process in the body that water isn't involved in. Now, it's really easy to picture all this body water as just one big pool sloshing around inside you, right? Well, that's not how it works at all. The body is way more organized than that. It carefully separates its water into 2 very distinct compartments, and understanding that separation is key. This chart breaks it down perfectly. A full 2/3, that's the vast majority, of all the water in your body isn't just floating around. It's inside your trillions of cells. We call this the intracellular fluid, or ICF for short. The other 1/3, that's on the outside of the cells, and we call it the extracellular fluid, or ECF. And here's the most important part. It's not just about location. It's about what's in the water. This is not random. It is by design. The fluid inside your cells, the ICF, is loaded with potassium. Meanwhile, the fluid outside your cells, the ECF, is loaded with sodium. You have to remember that. Potassium inside, sodium outside. It is one of the most critical principles in all of physiology. And just to get a little more specific, that 1/3 of water outside the cells, the ECF, isn't all one thing either. Most of it is what we call interstitial fluid. That's the liquid that literally bathes all of our cells. A smaller chunk of it is plasma, which is the liquid part of your blood. And then you have tiny amounts of super specialized fluids, like the fluid in your joints. Okay, so we've got these 2 separate compartments, one inside the cells and one outside, and they have different things dissolved in them. This brings us to the final and probably most important concept for today. How in the world does water move between these 2 compartments? The process has a name, osmosis, and it's a basic law of physics. Water will always move across a membrane, like a cell wall, toward the area that has more stuff dissolved in it, more solutes. The easiest way to think about it is this. Water follows solutes. Imagine the solutes are a big popular concert. The water is the crowd. The water is naturally going to move from the empty areas toward where the action is to try and even things out. Let's make this real. Let's say you go and eat a super salty meal. All of that sodium floods the area outside your cells, in the ECF. Suddenly, there's way more solute on the outside than on the inside. So what happens? To fix this imbalance, water is literally pulled out of your cells and into that extracellular space, trying to dilute the high sodium and get back to equilibrium. It's a constant push and pull. And this brings us right back to our star players, sodium and potassium. You can think of them as the body's little water magnets. The body very deliberately puts a ton of sodium outside the cells and a ton of potassium inside the cells. Why? To act as anchors to pull and hold water exactly where it needs to be. It's a brilliant system for managing hydration on a microscopic level.
Which leaves us with one last massive hanging question. If water is just passively following these solutes around, what's to stop a cell from either swelling up like a water balloon and bursting or shrinking down to nothing and becoming useless? How does the body maintain that perfect, delicate balance? Well, figuring that out is exactly what we're going to tackle in our next explainer.